The alarm rang through the Galactic Council chambers. Ambassador looked up from his desk, his insect-like eyes reflecting the red warning lights. Something was very wrong. "Ambassador, we have a situation," his assistant said, rushing into the room. "Nine has been attacked." Felt his stomach drop. Nine was a peaceful mining colony on an ice planet. Over 10,000 people lived there. Scientists, engineers, families. They had no weapons, no military. They were just ordinary people trying to make a living. "Who attacked them?" asked. "The Armada. They're holding everyone hostage. They want money, lots of it. If we don't pay in 2 days, they'll start killing people." Stood up quickly. The Armada was bad news. They were mercenaries who didn't care about life. Their leader was known for being cruel. He destroyed entire settlements before. This was serious. "Send our peacekeeping fleet immediately," ordered. His assistant looked down. "That's the problem, sir. Our nearest fleet is 3 days away. They won't make it in time." Felt panic rising in his chest. 3 days was too long. Had already killed 50 hostages just to prove he was serious. If they waited 3 days, thousands more would die. "What about the other species? Can anyone help?" asked desperately. "Everyone is too far away, sir. We've checked. There's no one close enough." Sat down heavily in his chair. He'd been an ambassador for 40 years. He'd solved hundreds of problems through talking and diplomacy. But this time talking wouldn't work. Didn't care about words. He only understood violence. And the council had no violence to offer, not in time. Then his assistant spoke again hesitantly. "Sir, there is one ship in that sector, but it's not from the council." "Who?" asked, grabbing at any hope. "Humans. There's a human exploration ship nearby. They're mapping that area of space." Paused. Humans. He'd heard of them. Earth had just been discovered 2 years ago. The planet was classified as extremely dangerous. The council had put it on the watch list with a warning. The report said Earth was a Level 9 hazard world and recommended that other species avoid it. "What do we know about humans?" asked. His assistant pulled up the file. "Not much, sir. Their planet is very hostile. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous animals. Most council scientists don't understand how any species survived there. The humans just invented faster-than-light travel recently. They seem friendly, but we haven't had much contact." "Do they have weapons?" "Unknown, sir. Their ship is small compared to our standards. We don't think they're very advanced." Thought hard. It wasn't much of a choice. Send a message to unknown aliens who might not even help, or watch thousands of innocent people die. He made his decision. Send them a distress call. Tell them what's happening. Ask if they can help. The message traveled through space at light speed. It reached a small ship floating near a blue star. The ship was called the Indomitable Spirit. Inside, Captain Park was reviewing star charts with his crew. Was a calm man in his 40s. He had short black hair and intelligent eyes. Before becoming an explorer, he'd been in the military. He'd seen combat, made hard choices. That experience showed in the way he carried himself. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Han from the communication station. "It's marked as an emergency." "Put it through," said. The hologram of Ambassador appeared. He looked worried, almost desperate. He explained the situation quickly. A colony attacked. Thousands of hostages. No help available in time. The ambassador's voice was professional but could hear the fear underneath. "We understand you're the only ship in range," said. "But we know you're explorers, not warriors. We're not asking you to risk yourselves. We just wanted to inform you of the situation. Perhaps you could monitor things until our fleet arrives." The message ended. Looked at his crew. There were 5 of them on the bridge. First Officer Lee stood at his side. She was sharp and quick-thinking. Chief Engineer Wu was at his station, already running calculations. Medical Officer looked concerned but determined. Tactical Officer Song had his jaw set firmly. "Opinions?" asked simply. We're 4 hours away at maximum speed, Wu said. We can get there before the deadline. We're not a warship, pointed out. We have some weapons for defense, but we're not built for this kind of fight. The mercenary fleet has 12 ships. We have one. Those hostages will die if no one helps, said quietly. 10,000 people, families, children. Looked at his tactical display. The mercenary ships are bigger than ours. They have more weapons, but I've been looking at their formation from the scans. They're sloppy. They're used to bullying defenseless targets. They've never fought anyone who fought back. Nodded slowly. He understood what was saying. Sometimes size wasn't everything. Sometimes skill and determination mattered more. Let's vote, said. This isn't a military mission. This is volunteer. We're risking everything. I won't order anyone to do this. Raise your hand if you want to help. 5 hands went up immediately. No hesitation. Looked at each member of his crew and felt proud. This was why he'd chosen them. They were good people. Send a message back to the ambassador, said. Tell him we're coming. Tell him to hold on. What should I say about our capabilities? Asked. Smiled slightly. Tell him that humans don't leave people behind. That's all he needs to know. The indomitable spirit turned and began accelerating. The engines pushed harder than they'd ever pushed before. Wu diverted extra power to the thrusters, making the ship go faster than the manual said was safe. But safety regulations were written by species from calm, peaceful worlds. Humans were different. In the Galactic Council chambers received the reply. His assistant read it aloud. The humans are coming, sir. They say they'll be there in 4 hours. Felt a mixture of hope and fear. He didn't know if these humans could actually help. Their ship was small. They were unknown, but they were coming, and that was more than anyone else could do. I hope they know what they're getting into, said quietly. His assistant didn't respond. They both knew the truth. The humans were probably going to die, but at least they were trying. That was more than most species would do. The indomitable spirit raced through space toward 9. Inside, the crew prepared for battle. They checked their weapons, reviewed their plans, and steeled themselves for what was coming. None of them knew if they would survive, but they all knew one thing. Someone needed help, and humans didn't ignore that call. The mercenaries on 9 had no idea what was coming. They thought they were safe. They thought no one could stop them. They were used to everyone being afraid. They'd never met humans before. They were about to learn why Earth was called and they were about to discover that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy wasn't claws or teeth or advanced weapons. It was someone who refused to back down. The indomitable spirit dropped out of faster-than-light travel near 9. The ice planet hung in space like a blue-white pearl, but Captain Park wasn't looking at the planet. He was looking at the 12 warships surrounding it. Those are big, Wu said from the engineering station. Size isn't everything, Song replied, studying his tactical screens. Look at how they're positioned. They're in a circle around the planet. That's an intimidation formation, not a fighting formation. They're spread too far apart to support each other. Lee nodded. They're used to scaring people, not fighting them. Before they could say more, an incoming transmission beeped. Han put it on the main screen. A face appeared that made even the experienced crew pause. Was large, with 4 eyes and scales that looked like they were made of metal. His teeth were visible in what might have been a smile or a threat. Well, well, said his voice deep and rough. What do we have here? A little ship come to play hero. His crew laughed in the background. The sound was ugly and mocking. Stepped forward, his face calm. I'm Captain Park of the Earth ship Indomitable Spirit. Release the hostages. Leave this system. You have one chance to do the right thing. The laughter got louder. Leaned closer to his screen, his 4 eyes studying. Earth. Never heard of it. You must be very stupid or very brave. Which is it, little captain? Neither, said. I'm just someone who doesn't like bullies. Stopped laughing, his eyes narrowed. You dare call me a bully? I am of the Armada. I have conquered 20 systems. I have destroyed fleets. What have you done, human? I've come to stop you, said simply. Last chance, leave now. Roared with laughter again. You, one tiny ship, and what army do you command? Looked at his crew, then back at the screen. The only one I need. He cut the transmission. The bridge was quiet for a moment, then spoke. Well, we tried diplomacy. Wu, how's the reactor? Asked. I can push it to 140% capacity, Wu said. It's not safe by normal standards, but we're not normal, finished. Do it, what's your plan? Pulled up a tactical display. They're expecting us to either run away or approach slowly. We do neither. We go in fast right through their formation. They won't be able to track us properly. Their weapons are designed for slow targets. What about their shields? Asked. Their shields are strong against heavy weapons, explained. But we'll be using precision targeting. Think of it like surgery, not hammering. Looked at each member of his crew. They all nodded. They were ready. All right then, let's show them what humans can do. Wu, give us everything you've got. The indomitable spirit suddenly accelerated. The speed was incredible. On the mercenary ships, alarms started ringing. Sensor operators couldn't believe what they were seeing. The small human ship was moving at speeds that should have torn it apart. What the mercenaries didn't know was that human ships were built different. They were designed by a species that had spent millions of years dodging predators on a high-gravity world. Human reflexes were faster. Human tolerance for acceleration was higher. What seemed impossible to other species was normal for humans. The indomitable spirit weaved through space like a dancer. The mercenary ships tried to target it, but their weapons were too slow. They were designed to shoot at big, slow-moving targets. The human ship was small and fast and moved in ways that seemed to break the rules of physics. Targeting their weapon systems, said, his fingers flying over his controls. Firing. The indomitable spirit's weapons weren't bigger than the mercenaries, but they were accurate. Humans had evolved throwing rocks at animals from a distance. That skill had carried over into everything they did. Human targeting computers were designed by a species that understood trajectories instinctively. 3 mercenary ships suddenly went dark. Their weapons systems were destroyed. They weren't hurt badly, but they couldn't fight anymore. The other mercenary ships started to panic. They broke their formation, trying to track the human ship that kept appearing and disappearing in their sensors. On his flagship, the warlord was screaming orders. Shoot it down. All ships focus fire. But focusing fire on something that moved like the indomitable spirit was impossible. The human ship spun and dove and climbed through 3-dimensional space with a grace that terrified the mercenaries. This wasn't how space battles worked. Ships were supposed to be slow and careful. This ship moved like it was alive. They're trying to surround us, reported. 3 ships are moving to cut off our escape route. We're not escaping, said. Wu, can our hull take a direct impact? Wu looked up surprised. Against what? Their docking bay shield. Everyone on the bridge stared at the captain, spoke first. You want to ram them? Not exactly, said. I want to get inside their ship. They won't expect it, and once we're inside, we can free the hostages directly. Checked his calculations. The impact would destroy most ships, but our hull is reinforced for Earth's atmosphere entry. The heat and pressure we're designed to handle is more intense than what we'd face ramming through a shield. It's crazy, said, then she smiled. Let's do it. Sent one final message to Ambassador. Tell the council we're going in. If this works, the hostages will be free in an hour. If it doesn't work, well, at least we tried. The indomitable spirit turned towards flagship. The big mercenary ship was the largest in the fleet. It's where they were keeping most of the hostages. It was also where himself was commanding from. All power to forward shields, ordered. Everyone strap in. This is going to be rough. The ship accelerated directly at the flagship. On its bridge, alarms screamed. "They're on a collision course," someone yelled. "Shoot them down," roared, "all weapons fire." Energy beams and missiles filled the space between the two ships. The indomitable spirit's shields glowed bright as they absorbed the impacts. Warning lights flashed all over the human ship's bridge. But the ship didn't slow down. It didn't change course. "Shields at 60%, Wu reported. 40%, 20%. "Hold steady," said calmly. The indomitable spirit hit the flagship's docking bay shield at full speed. There was a terrible sound of metal groaning and energy crackling. For a moment, it seemed like both ships would explode. Then the human ship punched through the shield like a bullet through paper. The indomitable spirit crashed into the docking bay, skidding across the metal floor. Sparks flew everywhere. The ship's hull screamed in protest but held together. Finally, it stopped, sitting in the middle of the mercenary flagship's docking bay like an uninvited guest. On the human ship's bridge, everyone was shaken but unhurt. Earth's gravity had made humans tough. The acceleration and impact would have killed most other species, but humans just got bruised. "Everyone okay?" asked. "Alive," said, unbuckling her restraints. "That was insane." "It worked though," Wu said, checking his systems. "Ship's damaged but functional. We can still fight." Pulled up internal sensors. "I'm reading hundreds of life signs in this ship. The hostages are 3 decks down. We have a lot of angry mercenaries between us and them." Stood up and grabbed his combat gear. "Then we'd better get moving. Set up a medical station here for the hostages. Everyone else, you're with me. It's time these mercenaries learned what happens when you threaten innocent people in front of humans." The cargo bay doors of the indomitable spirit opened. 25 humans stepped out, wearing combat armor and carrying weapons. To the mercenaries watching on security cameras, they didn't look like much. They were smaller than most galactic species. They looked fragile. The mercenaries were about to learn a terrible truth. Size didn't matter when you came from Earth. What mattered was that these humans had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every single day. They were survivors. They were predators. And they were very, very angry. The battle was about to begin. The mercenaries rushed into the docking bay. There were 50 of them, all armed and angry. They were bigger than humans, covered in scales with powerful muscles. They'd fought dozens of species before. They thought this would be easy. The first mercenary that reached the humans swung a massive blade at Lee. She didn't try to block it. Instead, she stepped inside his reach, moving faster than he could follow. Her combat training came from Earth, where speed meant survival. She grabbed his arm, used his own momentum, and flipped him. They hit the ground hard. His body wasn't built for Earth's gravity. The impact knocked him unconscious. 3 more mercenaries charged. They moved together like a pack, but humans had hunted in packs for thousands of years, and spread out instantly, each taking a different angle. The mercenaries got confused. They were used to enemies that stayed together. The humans attacked from 3 directions at once. Moved like water, smooth and fast. He'd studied martial arts since he was 5 years old. Every movement was efficient, no wasted energy. Twice his size tried to grab him, ducked, spun, and struck at pressure points he'd identified in their species. The mercenary fell. More poured into the bay. They had weapons now, energy rifles and plasma guns. They opened fire. The humans scattered, using the indomitable spirit for cover. His voice was calm. "Suppressing fire, flank left. I'll go right." What happened next shocked the mercenaries. Instead of staying behind cover, the humans attacked. They moved through the battlefield like they'd done this 1,000 times. And in a way, they had. Humans had been fighting wars for their entire existence. Combat was in their blood. They were strong but slow. They'd evolved on a planet with low gravity. Their muscles were big but not dense. Humans, who grew up climbing mountains and running long distances under Earth's crushing gravity, were different. They were smaller but faster, weaker in raw strength but more efficient in every movement. A young soldier found himself face to face with Captain. He raised his weapon, was faster. In 2 quick moves, the weapon was on the ground and the soldier was down. Didn't kill him. He didn't need to. He just moved past, heading for the door that led deeper into the ship. Bay secured, reported. 16 hostiles down, none killed, the rest retreated. Good, said. We're not here to kill if we don't have to. We're here to rescue hostages, lead the way. Had hacked into the ship's computer system. The map showed on everyone's helmet display. Hostages are being held in the cargo bay 3 levels down. There are approximately 200 mercenaries between us and them. Then we'd better hurry, said. Move out. The humans split into 3 teams. Led one, led another, and led the third. They moved through the ship's corridors fast. The mercenaries tried to set up defensive positions, but the humans didn't fight like other species. They didn't advance slowly. They ran. In one corridor, 10 set up a barricade. They had heavy weapons pointed at the only entrance. It should have been impossible to pass. Then's team arrived. They didn't go through the entrance. They went through the wall. Wu had given them breaching charges designed for Earth's tough materials. The wall of the ship, made for space where things moved slowly, couldn't handle them. The wall exploded inward. Before the shocked mercenaries could turn around, the humans were among them. Close combat was where humans truly excelled. Millions of years of evolution had made them perfect at reading body language, predicting movements, and reacting instantly. They were bigger and stronger, but they telegraphed every move. The humans saw the attacks coming before they happened. In another section, his team encountered resistance. A group of mercenaries had taken defensive positions with good cover and clear lines of fire. Most species would have gotten pinned down. Simply changed tactics. Lights out, she said. One of her team shot out the corridor lights. The mercenaries suddenly couldn't see. But humans had evolved as predators that hunted at dawn and dusk. Their eyes adjusted to low light better than most species. In the darkness, the humans moved like ghosts. The mercenaries fired wildly, hitting nothing. The humans moved through the shadows, taking them down one by one. When the lights came back on, the mercenaries were all unconscious on the floor. Meanwhile, Wu was in the ship's engineering section. The engineers had fled when they saw him coming. Wu looked at their systems and shook his head. Primitive, he muttered. He started working on the computer. His fingers moved fast across the controls. Within minutes, he'd planted a virus in the system. It spread to every ship in the fleet. Weapons systems shut down. Shields failed. Communication went dead. The entire fleet was suddenly helpless. Back in the ship, his team reached the cargo bay where the hostages were held. Guards stood at the door looking nervous. They'd heard what was happening throughout the ship. They'd heard that the humans were coming, that nothing was stopping them. Stand down, said, his weapon ready. You don't want to do this. One guard, braver or more foolish than the others, raised his gun, moved. The gun went flying. The guard went down. The other guards dropped their weapons and ran. Opened the cargo bay door. Inside, thousands of people looked up with hope and fear. They were many species, with their insect features, with their aquatic bodies who looked like living crystals. All of them scared, all of them desperate. We're here to help, said. Stay calm, we're getting you out. A young name stepped forward. He'd been recording everything on a hidden device. You're humans, the species from Earth. That's right, said. Can you walk? Are people injured? Some injuries, nothing critical, we thought. Stopped, his voice breaking. We thought we were going to die, then you came. How many ships did you bring? One, said simply. The hostages stared at him in disbelief. One ship had defeated the entire armada. It seemed impossible. His voice came through the communication system. Captain, all sections are clear. Mercenaries are either contained or retreating to their ships. Wu's virus has disabled their fleet. They're not going anywhere. Good work, replied. We're bringing the hostages up, be ready. Medical bay is prepared, his voice said. Bring them home. The humans started escorting the hostages through the ship. The mercenaries they passed didn't try to stop them. They just watched, defeated and confused. How had this happened? They were the Armada, feared across the galaxy, but these humans had torn through them like they were nothing. On the bridge, watched his defeat on the screens. His entire crew was beaten, his fleet was disabled, and all because of one small ship from a planet he'd never heard of. Sir, one of his officers said quietly, the human captain is coming here. Stood up, he was not going to die sitting down. He grabbed his personal weapon, a massive blade that had killed hundreds. If this human wanted him, he'd have to fight for it. The bridge door opened. Captain walked in alone, calm and unhurried. Behind him the corridor was empty. He'd come by himself. You've lost, said simply. Surrender, face justice, it's over. Never, roared. He charged, his blade swinging. The fight lasted 30 seconds, was strong and experienced. He'd won hundreds of battles, but he'd never fought someone from Earth. Moved like water, always in the right place at the right time. Every attack missed, every counterstrike landed. When finally fell, defeated but alive, he looked up at the human in confusion. What are you? He gasped. Just someone who doesn't let bullies win, said. He secured with restraints and called for backup. Within an hour, all the hostages were safe on the planet below. The mercenaries were in custody. The Armada was finished, and the galaxy had just learned about humans. Ambassador arrived on the indomitable Spirit. The ship was damaged but repairable. The crew was tired but unharmed. He looked at Captain with wonder and a little bit of fear. Hal asked, how did you do this? Thought about it for a moment. Because we come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to be tough. But more importantly, we learned that when someone needs help, you don't count the odds. You just help. Nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand. These humans weren't just strong. They were something the galaxy hadn't seen in a very long time. They were warriors who fought for others, not for themselves. And that made them the most dangerous thing in the universe. To their enemies, at least. The news spread fast. Within a day, every civilized world in the galaxy knew what had happened at 9. A single human ship had defeated the Armada, 12 warships disabled, over 300 mercenaries captured, 10,000 hostages rescued, 0 hostage deaths. The video that recorded went everywhere. People across thousands of worlds watched in amazement as humans fought through the mercenary ship. They saw how fast humans moved, how efficiently they fought, how they never gave up or slowed down. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the Great Chamber. Everyone had the same question. What do we do about humans? Ambassador stood before the council. He'd seen the humans up close. He'd talked with Captain. He'd watched them work. Now he had to help the council understand what they were dealing with. The humans, he began, are unlike any species we've encountered. Their world, Earth, is classified as a level 9 hazard planet. The gravity is 3 times what we consider normal. The weather includes storms that can destroy cities. The oceans have pressures that would crush our ships, and humans evolved to survive all of that. A representative from the species spoke up. But surely that just makes them physically strong. Many species are strong. Shook his head. It's not just strength. Watch the videos again. Watch how they move, how they think. Humans don't just survive on Earth. They thrive. They climb their tallest mountains for fun. They dive to their deepest ocean trenches to explore. They've turned their hostile world into an advantage. Another representative from the species stood. This is exactly why we should be afraid. They're too dangerous. We should quarantine Earth, keep humans away from the rest of us. And when another crisis happens, asked, when another colony is attacked, when innocent people need help and we're too far away, Who will save them then? The council chamber fell silent. No one had a good answer. The truth was uncomfortable but clear. The council's peacekeeping forces were spread thin. They moved slowly. They were designed for diplomacy, not combat. The galaxy had been peaceful for so long that they'd forgotten how to fight. Then the humans themselves arrived. A shuttle landed at the council building. Captain, First Officer, Medical Officer, Chief Engineer Wu, and Tactical Officer stepped out. They were invited to address the council. Lee spoke first. She stood at the podium looking at the hundreds of alien faces watching her. "We know you're scared of us," she said simply. "We understand. We watched your videos about Earth. We know what our planet looks like from the outside. A nightmare world where everything is trying to kill you." She paused, then continued. "But here's what those videos don't show. Yes, Earth is dangerous, but it's also beautiful. It taught us to be strong, but it also taught us to appreciate life. Every human alive is here because our ancestors refused to give up. We learned that life is precious. That's why we helped at 9. Not because we're violent, because we value life." A council member from the species spoke. "But you are violent. We saw the battle. You fought with a skill that frightened us." "We fought to protect," corrected. "There's a difference. We didn't kill anyone unless we had no choice. We could have destroyed that mercenary fleet completely. We didn't. We disabled them and captured them so they could face justice." Medical Officer stepped forward next. She had prepared a presentation. "I want to show you something about human biology," she said. Images appeared on the screens around the chamber. "Human bones are 3 times denser than galactic average. Our muscles are twice as efficient. Our cardiovascular systems operate at pressures that would damage most species. Our immune systems are extremely aggressive because Earth has so many diseases. Even our healing is faster." The council members looked at the data with growing concern. One said, "This proves our point. You're built for war." "No," said firmly. "We're built for survival. Every one of these traits exists because Earth forced us to adapt or die. We didn't choose to be tough. We had to be. But we did choose to be kind. That choice matters more than our biology." Wu spoke about technology. "You've seen our ships. They're different from yours. We build things to handle extreme stress because our world demands it. Our computers are faster because we needed speed to survive. Our materials are stronger because Earth's environment breaks weaker things. We're not trying to be better than you. We're just built different because our home made us different." Finally, Tactical Officer Song addressed the military concerns. "You're worried about human combat ability, I understand. But consider this, we've been fighting on Earth for our entire history. Wars, conflicts, struggles. We've learned from all of them. We know war is terrible. We've seen what it costs. That's exactly why we're the best choice to protect others. We know the price of violence. We don't use it lightly." The council debated for hours. Some species wanted to welcome humanity immediately. Others wanted to keep them isolated. The arguments went back and forth. Then a small voice spoke up. The young who had been a hostage asked to speak. The council was surprised but allowed it. He stood at the podium, still looking thin and tired from his ordeal. "I was going to die in that cell," he said quietly. "We all were, had already killed 50 of us. He would have killed more. I made peace with death. Then I heard explosions, fighting, and these humans came through the door." His voice grew stronger. "They were strangers we'd never met. Earth is on the other side of the galaxy from my home. They had no reason to risk their lives for us, but they did. They fought through an entire ship of mercenaries to save people they didn't know. That's not the action of a dangerous species. That's the action of a heroic one." The council chamber was completely silent. Continued. "You're all debating whether humans are safe, whether we should let them join us. But I think the real question is, don't we want people like that in our galaxy? People who run toward danger instead of away from it. People who protect the weak instead of exploiting them." He sat down. The council looked at each other. Then they voted. It was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would be granted probationary membership in the Galactic Council. They would be welcomed, but with conditions. The council leader, an ancient named, announced the decision. Humanity will join us, but we ask three things. First, you will share your combat knowledge with our peacekeeping forces. Help us protect our citizens better. Second, you will establish academies to teach other species about survival and resilience. Third, you will send ambassadors to help us understand your perspective. Captain stood to respond. We accept your terms, but we have a request of our own. If you want to understand humans, you need to understand Earth. We'd like to invite council representatives to visit our world, see where we come from, walk in our cities, climb our mountains, meet our people. You'll understand us better if you see our home. The council agreed, though many members were nervous about visiting the infamous. A delegation would go to Earth in 6 months. In the meantime, humans would begin integrating into galactic society. As the meeting ended, approached Captain. You've changed everything, the ambassador said. The galaxy hasn't seen warriors like humans in centuries. Are we ready for this? Smiled slightly. Ambassador, we're not here to change things. We're just here to help. Earth taught us to be survivors, but we chose to be protectors. That's the part you need to remember. Nodded, he was beginning to understand. Humans were dangerous, yes, but they were dangerous to the right people, to bullies, to those who hurt the innocent, to those who thought strength meant cruelty. The galaxy was changing, and maybe thought it was changing for the better. They'd been peaceful for so long that they'd forgotten how to defend themselves. The humans would help them remember. Not through fear or violence, but through the simple belief that good people should stand up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. It was a very human idea, and it was exactly what the galaxy needed. 6 months passed. The diplomatic mission to Earth was ready. Ambassador led a group of 50 representatives from 20 different species. They boarded the indomitable Spirit, now officially humanity's first diplomatic vessel. The ship had been repaired and upgraded, but it still carried the marks of battle from 9. The crew kept them as reminders. As they traveled through space, the alien delegates grew more nervous. They'd all read the reports about Earth. Level 9 hazard planet, extreme gravity, dangerous weather, aggressive wildlife. Some of them had nightmares about what they'd find there. Is it really that bad? A young diplomat asked Han. Smiled. It depends on what you mean by bad. It's challenging, but it's home, you'll see. When they finally arrived in Earth's system, the delegates gathered at the observation windows. They saw a blue and green planet covered in white clouds. It looked beautiful from space, peaceful even. It doesn't look dangerous, a representative said. Wait until you're on the surface, Wu replied. You'll understand. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. The delegates felt the ship shake from air resistance. The pressure increased. The temperature changed. By the time they landed in Seoul, many of them were already uncomfortable. When the doors opened, gravity hit them like a physical blow. They'd been warned, but nothing prepared them for actually experiencing 1G. It felt like someone had put weights on every part of their bodies. Walking was exhausting. Standing was tiring. Simply existing took effort. Wu's team had prepared special support suits for the visitors. The suits helped them move, but even with assistance, Earth was hard. A simple walk across the landing pad left most of them breathless. How do you live like this? Asked, struggling to take each step. We were born here, explained. Our bodies adapted over millions of years. For us, this is normal. For you, it's like carrying a heavy weight all the time. They took the delegates to a hotel first. Everyone needed rest. The gravity was draining their energy fast. As they rested, they looked out the windows at Seoul. The city was massive, full of tall buildings and busy streets. Humans walked around easily, carrying things, running, even exercising. Things that seemed impossible to the aliens were casual for humans. The next day took the delegation to a hospital. They met an elderly woman named Mrs. She was 98 years old, her face wrinkled but her eyes bright. This woman, explained, was born before humans reached space. She lived through wars, survived diseases, saw natural disasters. Earth threw everything at her. She's still here, still active. She goes hiking every week. The delegates stared in amazement. By their standards, Mrs. should have been dead decades ago. But she sat there, smiling and cheerful, stronger than most of them even at her age. Mrs. spoke through a translator. "Earth is hard," she said. "Every day is a challenge, but that's what makes life sweet. When you have to fight for everything, you appreciate everything. That's the human way." Song took them to a martial arts school next. They watched children, some as young as 6, practicing combat moves. The children flipped, kicked, rolled, and jumped with ease. What looked like superhuman acrobatics to the aliens was just regular exercise for human kids. "We start training young," explained. "Not because we love violence, because discipline and physical fitness are important on Earth. The planet demands it." Over the next week, the delegates saw more of Earth. Wu took them to a mountain range. They couldn't climb it themselves. The altitude and terrain were too much. But they saw humans hiking up paths that looked impossible. Children, elderly people, families, all of them moving through terrain that would kill most galactic species. Showed them the ocean. They stood on a beach and watched waves crash against the shore. The power of the water terrified them. "People swim in this?" a delegate asked, shocked. "For fun," confirmed. "We surf on the waves, dive deep to explore. The ocean is dangerous, but it's also beautiful. We learn to respect it and work with it." Captain took Ambassador on a special trip, just the two of them within his support suit. They went to a national park. The walk was hard but was patient, helping him over rocks and up hills. Finally, they reached a viewpoint. Below them stretched a valley, green and alive. Mountains rose in the distance. A river wound through the landscape. Birds flew overhead. It was breathtaking. "Your world tried to kill you at every turn," said, breathing hard even with his suit helping. "Most species would have become bitter, violent, angry at their home, but you became protective instead. You fight for others. Why?" Looked out at the valley. "Because we remember what it's like to be vulnerable. Every human alive comes from a long line of survivors. We know what it's like to struggle, to need help, to face impossible odds. So when we see others who need help, we act. It's not special, it's just human." "It is special," said quietly. "Most species never develop that instinct. They protect themselves, maybe their family, but you protect strangers. You risk everything for people you've never met. That's rare." "Maybe," acknowledged, "but it's also necessary. Good people have to stand up or bad people win. We learned that lesson the hard way. Now we try to teach it." They sat there for a while, watching the sun set over the valley. The light turned the sky orange and red. Had never seen a sunset like this. Earth's atmosphere created colors he didn't know existed. "I understand now," said, "why you're the way you are. This world made you strong, but you chose to use that strength to help others. That combination is powerful." When the delegation returned to the council, their report was unanimous. Humanity should be granted full membership, not just because they were strong or capable, but because they brought something the galaxy had lost: the willingness to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. The council voted. This time it wasn't close. Humanity was welcomed as a full member. They were invited to join the peacekeeping forces, to establish training academies, to share their knowledge and experience. Lee became the first human council member. Song took command of the Peacekeeping Academy, teaching other species about tactics, strategy, and resilience. Led medical research, combining human biology with galactic medicine to help everyone. Han became Earth's voice to the stars, helping translate human culture for alien civilizations. Wu worked on technology, bringing human engineering to galactic infrastructure. Captain continued to command the indomitable spirit, but now his crew was mixed, humans and aliens working together. They traveled the galaxy, responding to crises, helping those in need, showing everyone what cooperation looked like. One day, a reporter asked if he was proud to represent humanity, shook his head. "I'm not representing humanity. I'm representing what we believe, that someone has to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. That strength without compassion means nothing. That we're all neighbors in this galaxy, and neighbors help each other." The galaxy learned many lessons from humanity. They learned about endurance, about resilience, about fighting smart instead of just fighting hard. But the most important lesson was simple: aren't to be feared. They're to be welcomed. Because when darkness comes, when threats emerge, when innocent people need defending, the species that survived Earth will be the first ones standing in the way. Not because they have to, but because they choose to. And they won't be standing alone, because humanity's greatest strength isn't their toughness or their speed or their fighting skill. It's their ability to inspire others, to show that being strong means protecting the weak, that being capable means helping the helpless. The aliens didn't know who'd appear when they sent that distress call to 9, but looking back, they knew they were lucky. Lucky that it was humans who came. Lucky that Earth had shaped a species that chose kindness over cruelty. Lucky that from the galaxy's edge turned out to be exactly the heroes everyone needed. Earth's children had joined the galactic family, and the galaxy would never forget what they brought with them: hope, courage, and the simple belief that good people should always stand up for what's right. No matter the odds, no matter the danger, no matter the cost. That was the human way, and now it was becoming the galactic way too.